Crash landing on an alien world, Zack Ryder's heart pounded as his spacecraft hurtled through the alien atmosphere, alarms blaring and controls unresponsive. He'd been exploring an uncharted region of space when a rogue asteroid had torn through his ship, sending him spiraling towards the vibrant green planet below. "Come on, hold together." Zack gritted his teeth, fighting to regain control. But it was no use. The ship shuddered violently as it breached the cloud layer, smoke trailing from its damaged engines. Bracing for impact, Zack watched in awe as a vast, bioluminescent forest rushed up to meet him. Neon blue trees towered like skyscrapers, their leaves shimmering with an eerie, pulsating light. Bioluminescent birds scattered from their branches, leaving glowing trails in their wake. The ship careened through the psychedelic canopy, branches scraping across its hull with showers of sparks. With a bone-rattling jolt, it plowed into the spongy, iridescent undergrowth and skidded to a stop. Shaken but miraculously unharmed, Zack kicked open the warped hatch and clambered out, coughing from the acrid smoke. He found himself in a small clearing, the ground squishy beneath his boots, dotted with oversized mushrooms that glowed softly in hues of pink and purple. As his eyes adjusted to the dimly lit forest, he noticed something peculiar. Everything seemed to have a soft, shimmering quality, as if the very air was infused with microscopic crystals. Zack reached out and touched a nearby tree trunk. To his surprise, it felt warm and almost flesh-like. Suddenly, the mushrooms around him began to quiver and rise from the ground, unfurling into slender, humanoid forms with vibrant skin tones ranging from deep sapphire to emerald green, shimmering gold to shades he couldn't even name. With a shock, Zack realized they weren't mushrooms at all, but aliens, hauntingly beautiful women garbed in gossamer dresses that seemed woven from spider silk and starlight. The figures encircled Zack, moving with an ethereal grace, their eyes wide and luminous. One of them, with skin the rich blue of a twilight sky and hair like liquid silver, stepped forward. She trilled something in a lyrical, unknown language, her delicate hand outstretched. Heart-hammering, Zack raised his own hands in what he hoped was a universal gesture of non-aggression. "I come in peace," he said, voice hushed with awe. The blue-skinned woman cocked her head, and then to Zack's astonishment, she smiled, a radiant expression that made her already stunning features almost painfully beautiful. She spoke again, this time in halting, accented English. "Welcome, Sky Voyager. I am Azura of the Sisterhood tribe. You are the first man to ever visit our world." She stepped closer, her movements as fluid as water, and gently took Zack's hand in her own. Her skin was impossibly soft and thrummed with a strange, electric warmth. The other women crowded in, their jewel-toned fingers brushing Zack's hair and face with feather-light touches, trilling in wonder. Zack's mind reeled. How could they know English? Where were the men of their species? 1,000 questions burned on his tongue. But as Azura gazed at him with those mesmerizing opal eyes, all coherent thought fled his brain. He'd come to this planet by accident, a crash landing that should have meant his doom. But as the shimmering aliens led him hand in hand into their secret, bioluminescent world, Zack couldn't shake the dizzying sense that he was standing on the precipice of a grand adventure, the likes of which few men had ever known, an adventure that would change the course of his life forever. Thus begins Zack's incredible journey into the heart of an alien sisterhood, on a planet where he is the only man among a tribe of astonishingly beautiful, genetically engineered women, a journey that will test his every skill and belief, and ultimately transform him in ways he could never imagine. Welcomed by the Sisterhood tribe. As Azura led Zack deeper into the bioluminescent forest, he couldn't help but marvel at the alien world around him. Glowing flowers the size of sunflowers turned to follow their passage, while crystal-skinned creatures flitted through the undergrowth, leaving trails of shimmering stardust. Tiny, luminous sprites danced in the air currents, casting a shifting kaleidoscope of colors across the women's already vibrant skin. The effect was mesmerizing, making them appear even more ethereal and otherworldly. Zach's heart raced as Azura's warm, electric touch sent tingles up his arm. Her silvery hair flowed behind her like a river of starlight, and the other women's jewel-toned skin shimmered in the soft glow of the forest. Questions tumbled through his mind. Who were these women? Why did they seem so enamored with him? And how had they learned to speak English? As if sensing his thoughts, Azura glanced back at him with a radiant smile. You must have many questions, Sky Voyager. All will be answered in time. For now, let us welcome you to our village. They emerged from the forest into a breathtaking scene. A shimmering lake stretched out before them, its surface alive with swirls of bioluminescence that mirrored the star-strewn sky above. On its shores stood a village of organic structures that seemed to have grown from the earth itself, their walls pulsing gently with inner light. Zach gasped as hundreds more of the alien women emerged from the village, their skin glowing in every conceivable hue. They gathered around him, their voices rising in a harmonic song of welcome that sent shivers down his spine. Azura raised her hand, and the song quieted. Sisters, today's a momentous day. The sky has sent us a visitor, a man, the first our tribe has seen in generations. Let us welcome him as an honored guest. The women cheered, their voices blending in an ethereal chorus. They ushered Zach into the village, bringing him to a grand, pulsating structure at its center. Inside, the walls were lined with intricate murals depicting the history of their people. Zach's eyes widened as he took in the images, tall, ethereal beings descending from the stars, creating the vibrant women in their own image. Azura noticed his amazement. We are the Sisterhood tribe, she explained, descendants of the Star Mothers who came to this world eons ago. They engineered us to be their perfect companions, each sister blessed with unique gifts to bring them pleasure and comfort. She traced her fingers along a mural showing the Star Mothers departing, leaving the sisters alone on the planet. But they left us, ascending back to the celestial realm. We have lived here in harmony since, but we have never forgotten our purpose, to bring joy and love to those who visit our world. Zach swallowed hard, his heart pounding. And have there been others? Other visitors like me? Azura shook her head, her opalescent eyes shimmering. You are the first Sky Voyager, the first man to grace our world in living memory. We have waited for one like you for so long. She stepped closer, her floral scent enveloping him. The other women watched with anticipation, their jewel-toned skin glowing brighter. Zach's head spun. He was stranded on an alien world, surrounded by genetically engineered women of impossible beauty, women who saw him as the fulfillment of an ancient purpose. What did fate have in store for him here, among the Sisterhood tribe? Only time would tell. But as Azura took his hand once more, leading him deeper into the shimmering heart of the village, Zach knew one thing for certain: his old life was gone forever, and a new chapter had begun, one filled with wonder, mystery, and the promise of a love unlike any he had ever known. Using human ingenuity to improve the village. As the days turned into weeks, Zach found himself falling into the rhythms of life among the Sisterhood tribe. Each morning, he woke in the embracing warmth of his organic, pulsating pod, serenaded by the harmonic hum of the village and the soft glow of the ever-present bioluminescence. Azura and the other sisters were endlessly fascinated by his tales of Earth and his knowledge of technology. They showed him their own unique abilities. Azura could communicate with the bioluminescent creatures of the forest, while Emeralda, a sister with shimmering emerald skin, could coax plants to grow in intricate, artistic patterns. Despite their otherworldly gifts, Zach couldn't help but notice areas where his human ingenuity could improve their way of life. The sisters used a complex system of vines and pulleys to draw water from the shimmering lake, a process that was both time-consuming and labor-intensive. One day, while walking with Azura along the shore, an idea struck him. What if we could harness the energy of the wind to pump the water for us? He mused, sketching a rough design in the glowing sand. Azura's eyes widened. The wind? But how? Zach grinned. the thrill of a new project energizing him. "I'll show you." Over the next few days, he worked tirelessly, enlisting the help of the eager sisters. Using parts salvaged from his crashed ship and organic materials from the forest, he constructed a towering wind turbine, its blades woven from shimmering, flexible leaves. As the wind picked up, the blades began to spin, the generator humming to life. The sisters watched in awe as the glowing water of the lake began to flow through the pipes Zach had laid, directly to the heart of the village. Azura threw her arms around him, her electric touch sending shivers through his body. "Zach, this is incredible. You have given us a great gift." News of his invention spread quickly, and soon the sisters were coming to him with all manner of challenges. Using his engineering skills and their unique abilities, they transformed the village. Bioluminescent algae, cultivated with Emeralda's help, now powered glowing lanterns that illuminated the paths at night. A network of solar panels, woven from the gossamer threads of light-absorbing spiders, provided a steady source of energy. With each innovation, Zach felt a growing sense of belonging. He was no longer just a stranded human, but an integral part of the sisterhood tribe, his unique skills complementing their otherworldly gifts. And his bond with Azura only deepened. As they worked side by side, her silvery hair brushing his skin, he felt a connection unlike anything he had ever known. Her gentle wisdom and innate compassion drew him like a moth to a flame. Under the glow of the alien moons, they would walk hand in hand, sharing their hopes and dreams. Azura spoke of her desire to understand the universe beyond their world, while Zach found himself opening up about his past, his fears, and his growing realization that perhaps he had found his true home here, among the stars. But even as Zach settled into his new life, he couldn't shake the feeling that change was on the horizon. The sisterhood tribe had lived in harmony for generations, but his presence had awakened something new, a ripple in the fabric of their existence. He could only hope that the bonds they had forged, the love, trust, and understanding they had built, would be strong enough to weather whatever challenges lay ahead. For now, he was content to lose himself in the wonder of this bioluminescent world, and in the love of a woman who shone brighter than all the stars in the sky. An unexpected threat emerges. The morning began like any other in the shimmering village of the sisterhood tribe. Zach awoke to the gentle pulsing of his organic pod and the soft, harmonious humming of the sisters as they went about their daily tasks. He stretched, marveling at how quickly this alien world had begun to feel like home. But as he emerged into the glowing village square, he sensed a palpable tension in the air. The sisters were gathered in small, whispering clusters, their jewel-toned faces etched with worry. Even the ever-present bioluminescence seemed to flicker with an anxious energy. Zach spotted Azura and hurried to her side. "What's going on?" he asked, his heart clenching at the fear in her opalescent eyes. Azura's silvery hair shimmered as she shook her head. "Something is wrong in the forest. The creatures are agitated, and there have been sightings of something else, something dark and twisted, unlike anything we have ever encountered." A chill ran down Zach's spine. In all his time here, he had never seen the sisters so unsettled. "Show me," he said, taking Azura's hand. They ventured to the edge of the bioluminescent forest, where a group of sisters stood guard, their postures tense. Emeralda, the green-skinned sister who could communicate with plants, had her hand pressed to the bark of a glowing tree, her face contorted in concentration. As Zach and Azura approached, Emeralda's eyes snapped open, glowing with an eerie light. "The forest speaks of an abomination," she whispered, her voice trembling. "A creature born of twisted science, a dark mirror of our own origins. It hunts, it consumes, it corrupts, and it is coming for us." Zach's mind raced. A twisted science. Could it be related to the genetic engineering that had created the sisters themselves? His thoughts were interrupted by a bone-chilling shriek that echoed through the trees. The sisters gasped, drawing close together as the bioluminescent foliage shuddered and went dark. Out of the shadows it emerged, a monstrous creature, towering and deformed. Its skin was a sickly, pulsating gray, shot through with veins of pulsing, corrupted light. Multiple limbs, each ending in razor-sharp claws, protruded from its misshapen body at odd angles. But most horrifying of all were its eyes, a multitude of them, covering its face in a grotesque parody of the sister's own luminous beauty. The creature let out another unearthly shriek, and the sisters scattered, their screams of terror piercing the air. Zach's heart pounded as he realized the horrifying truth. This monstrosity was indeed born of the same science that had created the sisters, a twisted experiment gone horribly wrong. As the creature rampaged towards the village, Zach knew he had to act. He may be just one human, stranded on an alien world, but these sisters, this tribe, had become his family, and he would do whatever it took to protect them. His mind raced, already formulating a plan. The creature was powerful, but it was a perversion of nature. Perhaps with the sisters' unique abilities and his own human ingenuity, they could find a way to stop it, to turn its own corrupted biology against it. It would be a battle unlike any the sisterhood tribe had ever faced, a fight for their very survival. But as Zach looked around at the determined faces of the sisters, at Azura's fierce, loving gaze, he knew they would face this threat as they have faced everything else, together. For he was no longer just a stranded astronaut, and they were no longer just genetically engineered alien beauties. They were a family, bound by love, trust, and the unbreakable ties of shared adversity. And heaven help any monster, twisted science or not, that dared to threaten their home. Confronting the monster menace, the village was in chaos. The twisted creature rampaged through the bioluminescent structures, its corrupted light leaving trails of sickly darkness in its wake. The sisters fought bravely, wielding glowing spears and energy bows, but their weapons seemed to have little effect on the monster's sinewy, pulsating hide. Zach and Azura raced through the fray, dodging writhing tentacles and razor-sharp claws. They burst into Zach's workshop, where his half-finished inventions and salvaged technology lay scattered about. "We need a plan," Zach panted, his mind racing. "Our regular weapons are useless against this thing." Azura nodded, her opalescent eyes flashing with determination. "What about your lightning gun? The one you used to restart the village's power core?" Zach shook his head. "It's not strong enough. We need something more powerful, something that can target the creature's specific biology." He rummaged through his equipment, his eyes falling on the pulsating power core he had salvaged from his crashed ship. An idea began to take shape, as crazy as it was desperate. "The creature is a product of twisted genetic engineering, right? Just like you and your sisters, but corrupted." Azura nodded, her eyes widening as she caught on to his train of thought. "You think we can use our own genetic makeup against it?" Zach grinned, already starting to modify the power core. "Exactly. If we can isolate the specific genetic frequency that makes you sisters unique, we might be able to create a weaponized pulse that will only affect the creature." They worked frantically, Azura using her innate understanding of her own biology to guide Zach's engineering. The result was a glowing, pulsating orb, thrumming with a strange harmonic energy. They emerged from the workshop to find the village in ruins, the sisters fighting a losing battle against the rampaging monster. Emeralda lay wounded, her green skin pale, while Violetta, the violet-skinned sister, fired arrow after arrow to little avail. Zach and Azura exchanged a determined look. It was now or never. They raced towards the creature, dodging its flailing limbs. Zach aimed the biopulse orb, waiting for a clear shot. The monster turned, its multitude of eyes fixing on them with malevolent hunger. Just as it lunged, Zach fired. The orb struck the creature in the center of its misshapen chest and detonated in a blinding flash of harmonious light. The monster screamed, a sound of pure agony, as the pulse tore through its twisted body, unraveling its corrupted genetic structure. The sisters watched in awe as the creature began to dissolve, its form unspooling into strands of shimmering, uncorrupted light. The light swirled, coalescing into the forms of dozens of new sisters, each shimmering with the pure, untainted beauty of the sisterhood tribe. A cheer went up from the battle-weary sisters as they realized what had happened. The monster, for all its horror, had been a sister too, twisted and corrupted, but now freed and reborn. Azura threw her arms around Zack, tears of joy streaking her luminous face. "You did it. You saved us all." Zack held her close, marveling at the resilience and strength of these incredible women. "We did it. Together." As the sisters began the work of rebuilding, tending to the wounded and welcoming their newly reborn kin, Zack felt a sense of profound belonging. This was more than just a village, more than just a tribe. This was a family, bound by love, resilience, and the unbreakable bonds of shared triumph. He looked around at the shimmering, bioluminescent world that had become his home, at the faces of the sisters who had become his heart, and he knew, with a certainty that resonated in his very soul, that he was exactly where he was meant to be. Sometimes it takes crash landing on an alien world and facing down twisted monstrosities to find one's true purpose. And for Zack Ryder, stranded astronaut turned tribal hero, that purpose was here, among the stars, with a family of alien beauties who shone brighter than any sun. A new future for the village. In the aftermath of the battle, the village was a scene of both destruction and rebirth. The twisted creature's rampage had left many of the bioluminescent structures in ruins, but the sisters, with their indomitable spirit, were already hard at work rebuilding. Zack pitched in, using his engineering skills to design stronger, more resilient buildings that incorporated the living, pulsating elements of the sisters' organic technology. Together, they wove shimmering leaves and glowing vines into intricate patterns, creating structures that were as much works of art as they were functional spaces. As the village began to take shape once more, Zack couldn't help but marvel at how much had changed. The sisters, once so dependent on their ancient ways, now embraced innovation and change. They eagerly learned from Zack, incorporating his human knowledge into their own unique abilities to create wonders beyond anything they had ever known. Emeralda, now recovered from her injuries, worked with Zack to develop a new form of bioluminescent agriculture, cultivating glowing crops that thrived in the alien soil. Violetta and the other sisters used their energy manipulation abilities to create a pulsating network of power that lit up the village like a living constellation. And Azura, Zack's heart swelled every time he looked at her. The bond between them had only grown stronger through their shared trials and triumphs. Under the shimmering light of the alien moons, they would walk hand in hand, dreaming of a future that now seemed limitless. As the village flourished, word of their victory over the twisted creature spread to the far reaches of the planet. Sisters from distant tribes, long isolated, began to make the journey to see the wonders that Zack and the sisterhood tribe had wrought. They came in awe, marveling at the glowing, thriving village and the unity of its people. For the first time in generations, the sisters of the planet were united, bound by a new sense of purpose and possibility. And at the heart of it all was Zack, the human who had crash-landed into their lives and changed everything. The sisters looked to him not just as a savior, but as a leader, a visionary who had shown them a new way forward. One evening, as Zack and Azura sat beneath a towering tree that pulsed with gentle, silver light, Azura turned to him, her opalescent eyes shining with emotion. "You know," she said softly, "when you first arrived, I thought you were a gift from the stars, sent to fulfill our ancient purpose. But now I see that you were so much more. You weren't just a man, Zack. You were a catalyst, a spark that ignited a fire of change and possibility in all of us." Zack took her hand, marveling at how perfectly it fit in his own. "I didn't do it alone," he said. "It was all of us together. Human and sister, working as one. That's the real gift, Azura. That's the real magic." She leaned in, her lips meeting his in a kiss that seemed to contain the energy of 1,000 suns. And in that moment, Zack knew that he was home, not just on this alien world, but in the hearts of these incredible women who had become his family. Together, they had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, brighter, more brilliant than ever before. And together, they would continue to build a future as wondrous and radiant as the stars themselves. For Zack Ryder, crash landing on an alien planet had been the end of one journey and the beginning of another, a journey of love, discovery, and the unbreakable bonds of a tribe that shone with the light of a million suns. And as he looked out over the shimmering, bioluminescent village, at the faces of the sisters who had become his heart and soul, he knew that this journey was far from over. It was just beginning, and the future was as bright and limitless as the glowing horizon stretching out before them. The end.